When you think of a gaming keyboard, you probably picture an overpriced cheap plastically Razer board that sounds like a car crash every time you type on it. But what if I told you that instead of a Razer keyboard you were getting, you could get a fully aluminum TMR rapid trigger keyboard that doesn't sound like shit and somehow costs less? Wait, that doesn't make sense. Meet Womier SK75 TMR, the keyboard I will be reviewing today. But before I continue, I would like to say that this keyboard was sent out to me by Womier, but they didn't tell me what to say, and all of my thoughts are my own. So without wasting any more time, let's get straight into the review. I want to start with the unboxing. The keyboard comes with a cable, a dongle, extra keycaps, switches, and a keycap puller. The unboxing is nothing special. I have seen keyboards from $50 to $100 with the same unboxing experience. However, the keycaps and extra switches are a nice touch. The cable is fairly thick and nothing too special. For some reason, the cable color doesn't match the keyboards, and I wouldn't care about this if the keyboard cost was like $60 to $100, but for $150 they definitely could have afforded to just paint the cable white. Luckily, the keyboard itself feels really good on first impressions. On my scale, the keyboard weighed around 2 kilos and doesn't move at all on my desk. There could be literally a hurricane hitting the setup, and I would bet my dollars that the desk is going to break before the keyboard even moves. The keyboard itself is full aluminum and feels very premium. You can tell that they didn't use the cheapest aluminum they could find because the keyboard actually feels good. The aluminum has a nice texture on it, and the keyboard also has weighted mirror right below. So when you get this keyboard, remember that it can also double as a dumbbell and a mirror to see if you're mugging the enemies online. The keyboard doesn't have any adjustable feet or a dongle compartment, which is understandable since it's fully aluminum, and adding these features would drastically increase the cost. I like how the black part of the keyboard has slightly coarser texture and how the logo on the keyboard is very subtle engraved onto the keyboard. Overall, the keyboard feels and looks very impressive. It really reminds me of Wooting 80HE Zinc version, which is like $100 more expensive. The keycaps are nothing special. They're your basic double shot PBT keycaps. I like how Womier gives you extra keycaps to customize your keyboard, but don't expect to be blown away. Some other things that are worth mentioning are this keyboard also has 2.4 GHz mode, so you can travel with it, but unless you're Arnold Schwarzenegger, I doubt you'll be using this feature a lot. The battery is 8000 mAh, so it should last a fairly long time. The other thing I would like to mention is that this keyboard has south-facing LEDs, so you won't have any interface with keycap sets. Moving on from the design, let's talk about the performance. The keyboard uses TMR switches, which in short term allows you to use both Hall effect and magnetic switches at the same time. Think of it as like a hybrid car. Even the best Hall effect switches don't come close to the sound and typing experience of mechanical switches. So I think this feature is very useful, especially for all the keyboard snobs whose keyboard need to sound like building with Legos. I personally don't care as much for the sound, but I know a lot of people do. For example, you can replace most keys with normal mechanical switches and only keep WASD as Hall effect, so your keyboard sounds better. The keyboard performs perfectly. I have no issues with rapid trigger, SOCD, or any other feature you would want to use, and the keyboard performs blazingly fast, especially in 8000 Hz polling. YouTubers like Migs have done more extensive testing on this keyboard and apparently has less than 1 millisecond delay, which is pretty good in my books. When using this keyboard, my movement in games felt pretty good, not good enough to escape 10k elo, but I think that's just me. The keyboard uses Womier void switches, which are fairly light and easy to press. They're not the worst Hall effect switches I've used, but they're not the best either. They're just okay. They have a bit of clack to them, but I think they still sound decent, especially in comparison to other Hall effect keyboards. Of course, the keyboard also has some extra cushioning such as porum foam, a switch pad, and a PET acoustic film. Overall, the typing experience is very pleasant, especially since they also use FR4 plate, which gives the keyboard a small bounce. Combine it with the heavy aluminum case, I think most people will find this typing experience good enough. my opinion, the typing sound and quality are pretty good for a Hall effect keyboard, but let me know in the comments down below. Finally, the last thing I would like to mention is the software. And yeah, it's okay. I'm pretty sure I've seen other companies use the same software skin before. I don't really care that much, but the experience is nothing to write home about. You can change everything, but it's also very clunky. Also, there is an AI button at the bottom for some reason. So, what are my final thoughts on the keyboard? I think it's really fucking good. For $150 or sometimes less on sale, you're getting a premium 2 kilo keyboard with some of the best Hall effect performance you can find. The typing experience is pretty good, and TMR also makes it a much more customizable keyboard. The keyboard does have some small flaws, like the software, non-matching cable, and the typing experience not being the best, but I think the pros outweigh the cons by a lot. I really recommend getting this keyboard, but hey, that's just my opinion. Thank you all for watching, and see you guys in the next one. Peace out.